We're joined here today with Jose, who's a wonderful photographer, currently based in Minneapolis. And we're here to talk about creativity within photography and other areas of life. An overall, overarching question, what would you say photography means to you?
All right. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Jose. I will do a quick little intro just so you know who I am if you don't already. Then I'll get into the question. So I'm a portrait photographer mainly. I just moved to Minneapolis summer of 2023 from Arizona. So big move. And people think I'm crazy for coming to the cold but I tell them I lived somewhere where it was like extreme heat, so I came to the extreme cold just to like continue building my character. So so here I am. But to get into the question, can you
Yes. What does photography mean to you?
So what does photography mean to me? Photography to me is an incredible gateway to connect with people and to learn a lot about myself. It just means so much. It's synonymous to life, really. I mean, just to go to the beginning of my journey in 2013, I picked up photography after going through some dark times in my life. We're just going in. We're just gonna go
Yeah.
go right in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going through a lot in that time. I had lost my job. I was severely depressed and overweight and just had no direction in life. I realized through a conversation with my sister that photography was something that I was pretty decent at, and decided, well, I want to make this a hobby. I want to not just take pictures with my point and shoot. At the time, I want to have a real camera and see what comes of it. So through my journey, that was back in Tucson. That's where I lived for many years, for 22 years. Through my journey, just developing as a man, photography has been a big part of that for me. So, I was very much an introvert when I started. I didn't even photograph people besides my family when I started. I photographed nature. I would go out on hikes with my folks and take pictures like landscape or lizards, there's plenty of those out there. Not quite here in Minneapolis, a little bit different, but birds and all of that. And only a couple years into it, I actually joined a group that was already around for a couple of years, I believe. I joined that group in 2016 called TAP. That's an acronym: Tucson Aspiring and Professional Photographers, run by Justin Haugen. And I met some incredible people in that group, and really grew a lot in that way of just connecting with people and building those friendships. Some of them are still some of my closest friends to this day. Whenever I go back to visit, I make it a point to catch up with them. Yeah, I can talk on and on about photography and why it's important to me, because like I said, I grew in many ways through it. I went from being an introvert, like I mentioned earlier, to still having my introverted nature, but being a lot more comfortable and confident communicating with anybody, complete strangers, being able to hold a conversation and not be nearly as socially awkward as I used to be. It still comes up, it still happens because I'm human. I'm not always at 100%. Unless I have my coffee, like I do right now. But yeah, even just through photography's always been there for me. So it is a relationship. It's been there for me even through my relationships, romantic relationships. It's been there for me through um, through my ups and downs, and like achievements within photography. Um,
Hmm.
it's just a powerful thing, and yeah, it's a great connector. I've met some incredible people through photography. I can go anywhere in the world and instantly connect with somebody who I see taking pictures. I can just spark a conversation, and yeah, I mean, it brings everybody together, like all shapes, colors, sizes, like races, ethnicities, everybody. Photography is one of those things that we just all agree is a beautiful thing for creativity, a beautiful tool for creativity. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that there's definitely universal language within photography, and I think there's a universal appreciation when no matter who you are in the world, like when you see a great image that you resonate with, um, even animals like dogs, cats,
Mm.
they
Oh, yeah.
could resonate with the image, cat TV and stuff like that. um, but I can so relate to the introverted nature because I consider myself an introvert,
Mm.
and it's a great way to kind of break out of my shell, especially if I'm photographing an event, because I mean maybe it's something I'm working on, but if I don't have a camera and I'm at an event, maybe I'll tend to like kind of stay in the corner or something. But when I do have a camera, and of course I have a role and a job to do, I will navigate around the room and
Yeah.
talk to people, but then maybe have the assurance that I don't have to talk to them for long because I have to keep on moving.
Nice. Okay. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think that photography has really helped you develop? It sounds like it's really helped you develop in your personal life, even when you don't have a camera with you.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I can definitely relate to what you were saying there,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like your camera being um, like protection, almost like protecting you from the outside world. Like, this is my role right now, so you know I am the photographer, and I have a focus, a job to do, um, and you can keep moving about. Like, as soon as you pick up that camera, you almost like embody it, But actually, I've gotten to a point where, like, yeah, I really enjoy just talking to people. I don't need the camera to be the bridge necessarily. Um, it's just helped me develop it, like you said, in my personal life, in that way of just communicating with anybody, um, not feeling like I'm forcing any kind of conversation. Or I mean, just people when I walk at the park, people when I'm walking my dog at Loring Park, I have no problem just saying hi to anybody, just talking to anybody. Whereas in the past, I would just be looking away or looking down or looking at my phone or whatever. It's just helped me look at the world in a different way, which I think I already have had that inherently, of just looking at things in a curious way, and just like literally what we were talking about before we started the podcast, just seeing how the light is hitting the wall right now because it's a beautiful day outside.
Right.
Just having a deeper appreciation for my surroundings anywhere I go. That's definitely a big one. And I don't have to have my camera on me. I know a lot of photographers are like, "Oh, I need to capture this moment right now," and I'm a firm believer that, like, sometimes you have to put the camera down and just appreciate that moment and take it
Mm-hmm.
in, and just like take a deep breath, take it in, like a beautiful sunset. I don't have to photograph it every time. Because sometimes you're actually missing it as you're like paying attention to your settings and
Mm-hmm.
doing, fumbling with your camera.
Absolutely. It's so hard to unlearn that personally for me,
Yeah.
to just really stop and enjoy the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And But that's a great, excellent reminder. And
it's not easy to do because you get so caught up in like, I'm the photographer, I have to capture every moment.
right,
You know?
being in that role, and of course, like within your friends and family who may or may not be photographers, when you kind of identify with that role, like, well, of course, like even if it's with my cell phone,
Yeah.
like, of course I need to capture this. Like,
Yeah. That's true. I always have my phone in case I don't have my camera on me and I really
Yeah.
feel like I need to capture this moment.
right.
But I'm not like attached to that anymore. I mean, I haven't been for a while. Like sometimes I even forget, like if there's a gathering happening, like, oh, maybe we should get a picture of everybody. I forget that sometimes because I'm just so in the moment, you know. Which is fine. I don't beat myself up about it. I'm enjoying myself, and you know, there's always, you know, you'd like to think there's always a future opportunity to do that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like as you've developed within your photography and your passions, what would you say are some values that you align yourself with when you're collaborating, working with others, interacting with others? Would you say that you have some core values when working with others?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, that's just another thing that photography has helped me develop over the years. Um, just showing up with integrity, respecting other people's, you know, time and energy. Like they're there, giving giving their all as well. You know, they didn't have to be there to, you know, if it's a collaboration, um, as opposed to a paid client. You know, they don't necessarily have to be there. You know, they can flake on you last minute or whatever. Like whatever. I don't care. I have no control over anybody else. I have control over me and whether or not I show up fully or not. So I definitely bring my personal core values into photography, as well, and that's just having that respect for everybody's time, respect for the craft, um, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely see firsthand because we've collaborated on several types of photo shoots and photo sessions and events. Yeah, Jose is a very respectful photographer. And yeah, I'd say that me personally, before I do a photo shoot, I just try to, I think hard about like what my vision is and thinking about what their vision is and communicating enough with the person that we can perfectly meet
Mm-hmm.
in the middle, and
Yeah.
and that we're both really happy, and could be a lot of unexpected uh, things we experiment with and come up with ideas together. I love it when people suggest things or come up with ideas.
Oh yeah.
That's the beauty of collaboration, because like it's two people coming up with something that maybe we wouldn't have thought of individually.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, any person that comes into the studio to have a session, whether it's another creative, a model who just wants to collaborate, or if it's a paid client, anybody who you work with, that's a relationship. That's like how I look at it. Is you want to communicate as best as you can. You want to be an understanding of what's expected of that session, and even like prior to the session, and even post session, like what's the delivery turnaround time. You know, like you want to have all these things lined up, because I mean, I've learned over the years through my own trials and errors and through other photographers who, you know, friends of mine who like vent after the fact of like, damn, I forgot to do this and that. And it's all a learning process and experience. And that's why it's so like personal to me, the photography, because it is a relationship with anybody you work with. Since it's helped me develop as a man as well. So it's a beautiful thing, man. As I've shifted my perspective into treating it that way and having those values attached to it and recognizing the importance of that, it really evolves into something more than just beyond just creating, which is a big part of it. Obviously, creating is a beautiful part of life, and yeah, that's I mean, that takes me to like the workshops that I just started doing this year. Just being able to create that for other photographers to create is such a good feeling. Like I did that. Like I just brought these people together. I showed them a few things about lighting, and now you just kind of set them free and let them create, and it's freaking awesome. I don't know if you want people cussing on your podcast or not, but I was about to.
Please go ahead. It's uncensored.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I mean, by what you're doing, you're creating like a well, like a spring of creatives, just of a lot of different opportunity, just like these human connections that people maybe wouldn't have ever met if
Right.
yeah if you didn't create this specific intention of really working together.
I mean, that's how I look at photography in itself. Is there's so many people I wouldn't have met without, had it not been for photography. There's so many experiences I wouldn't have had and places I wouldn't have traveled to if I hadn't been inspired by photography to, either go on a gig to this location or just to take my camera and see what I capture. And yeah, it's pretty amazing to be able to do those things. And it really took me out of my comfort early in my photography career. It really challenged me in many ways to like stop thinking so inside the box, So it's been a really magical journey to step outside of that and explore new opportunities, new ventures, and like through it all, like it's never disappointed. Even with the failures, like with like going to a shoot and forgetting my memory cards, which has probably happened to all of us at some point, so don't judge me.
Yeah. That's all right. I definitely have done that before. Yeah.
That only happened to me once. I mean, you don't want to repeat that mistake. I like triple check ever since then. That I have my cards, my SD cards. But
in my own experience, I can feel pretty nervous or anxious right before a photo shoot. Specifically, maybe if I haven't met the person before, or it's a type of shoot I don't do often. Yeah. Do you have any experience of like how you manage that?
Well, let me tell you, throughout my journey, the first few years of actually like getting paid for gigs really like kind of added to the pressure of that, of like I really want to do this right. I really want to make a good impression. I want to make sure they are happy with the results and all of that stuff. I want to make sure the lighting's good, like all of these things running through my head. So yeah, I can understand like the butterflies in the stomach and the anxious feeling of just wanting to do your best. And then speaking personally, like on a psychological level, I think that was like self-worth also showing up of like, oh, I'm not good enough to like be doing these photos for these people right now. And whether it was a paid gig or not, like even before then, I was just like always nervous about that kind of situation. But as time has passed, as my experiences, I've gained experience, I've improved upon relationally, how I communicate with people and my confidence and my self-worth and all of those things. That still comes up, the anxious feeling at times beforehand, because like you said, if it's something I haven't done, recently or very much of, you just want to make sure you do a good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think over the years, that anxious feeling has turned more into excitement of the possibilities of what we can create.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that comes with that shift into confidence and self-worth and just knowing that I have the abilities because I've developed them over time and experiences, and I have the wisdom to be able to troubleshoot whatever may come up. I'll figure it out. So, yeah, that's where I am after like 12 years. I mean, it took long enough, but but even like with the workshops, going back to that, that's something that I had never done before January, my first workshop. And I was very like nervous that morning and leading up to everybody showing up, but as soon as I started talking and we started getting into it and getting into the demonstration, like that feeling just completely evaporated. And then going into my February one, it was still a little bit, but it was less of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I know what to do now. I have a better idea. I got some feedback from the first one, and yeah, you just improve upon it every time. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's such a valuable lesson of just doing it is such a great way to overcome that feeling. Just putting yourself out there, taking the first step. And yeah, I mean, I hear about actors who are super nervous, even the really experienced ones. And just after they say their first line or maybe improvise something, then that just takes a little bit of the edge off, and then they can just like settle into themselves.
Yeah, that's such an interesting feeling because you feel almost out of body because you're so anxious. Like I know that feeling intimately, and as soon as like somebody cracks a joke or whatever, you just like snap right out of it. And,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I can go feel robotic almost. And I mean, it depends. I mean, I'm human, so like I can feel really nervous, especially if it's a lot of people around I've never met.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm here. I am the photographer. Stand here and smile. But then I like to definitely
very personable. Yeah, totally.
And then I can, if I can inject more of myself and personality or get to know them, then I think that it makes maybe both sides more comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Because
Yeah.
I know they can feel that energy.
Yeah.
When just speaking on my own experiences, if I'm feeling nervous or anxious and I approach somebody or whatever it is, whatever scenario it is, if I'm not feeling like fully present, I know they're receiving that, and they're maybe like feeling a little off about it too. And if you just show up like authentically and even with that anxious feeling, you can do so. You just have to recognize it and be like, okay, I'm just feeling a little like up here right now, but let me still like just be real with this person. We're all human, like you said. They'll show some sort of compassion and be like, oh, cool. This is where he's at right now. Let's meet each other where we are right now. And it just diffuses it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're all humans. And I think that just recognizing that, like, just when things in this day and age, when things can feel more and more detached from the human experience, that can, it's so important to just ground yourself. Remember, like, we're humans.
Yeah. Yep. And there's another aspect of that is people put on a facade. Like people put on different masks for different situations, and if you just put on your face, you just show up as whoever you are, like people will see that, they'll read that. You know, if you're putting on this like I'm the shit photographer, you know, I'm the shit, you know, photographer, but you know, pretending to be confident or pretending to have control of everything, like people sense that, you know.
Yeah.
I try to call myself on my own bullshit, you know,
Yeah.
and give myself some grace with it too, not because I definitely in the past like beat myself up when I like screwed up or did something wrong or miscommunicated something, like all of that, you know, just beat myself up, and that doesn't help the situation. It doesn't help me, you know, grow
Yeah.
anyway. So just giving yourself grace in any situation that you're stepping into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's a really personal thing of just knowing how hard we are on ourselves sometimes, because only we ourselves know that. Or and how can you even compare it to other people, because we only know our own experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I think about that, and sometimes I think like sometimes maybe I'm too gentle on myself, or else maybe too hard on myself. And it's like, you know,
Interesting. Yeah.
somewhere in that kind of scope of things.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. And that's the way I do my best to approach any photography session as well. Actually, some things that were coming up as we were talking, like past experiences, are actually like when I would shoot weddings, which I still do occasionally, but like that is such a high stress, you know, situation where everybody's running around, and the bride especially. Like you want to make sure that you're in tune with what's going on with the bride. You know, you're on their team, and the importance of communicating things clearly, the importance of showing up like as a human being and with compassion, knowing like she is too super stressed out, and you know it varies on situations, but just meeting them again where they're at, like recognizing that and being like, okay, let me not add to the stress, let me in fact help relieve some of that stress in any which way possible. And that I do, you know, you do that by communicating, this is the time, this is where we are on our timeline, you know, let's you know, just like I do my part to stay on top of that. And in a photography session, it's the same thing, knowing that person could be their first time stepping in front of a camera, like like doing a professional photo shoot, so they can be showing up very nervous and maybe just again putting on a facade of like, I'm cool, this is under control, but they're like freaking out on the inside. Like that happens, I recognize that now. So I do my best to make sure they're comfortable, make sure that they know like we're just doing our thing. We're both people, we're figuring out what the next steps are in this session, and I'm walking you through it, and I'm giving you direction, and we're gonna have some fun. Like
Absolutely.
you're gonna like I know people come in a little anxious, a little nervous. And some people have like little signs, little gestures that I can just pick up on really easily. So I'll do I'll pay extra attention to that and give a little bit more compassion towards that, and just be extra attentive in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's so important to let people, I think one of my goals is to just authentically show the person in front of the camera, unless they're trying to portray alter ego or some other character or something.
Right. Love that. I need to have one of those shoots.
Yes.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could do a photo shoot of me and I'll just be a jerk.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
You said alter ego. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. You're awesome. I don't know why alter ego, when you said that, what came up was like like a superhero
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
or a villain.
Villain, the jerk.
No, I don't think you could play that role. I don't think you got it in you.
Yeah, it would be hard. I tried an improv comedy, but it was challenging.
Oh yeah, that's right. You do improv. That's right.
Um, so when you're taking photos, day to day, and it's not of people, what do you enjoy taking photos of?
Love that question. Some of my favorite photography is still to this day when I go out on a hike and capture landscape, just capture nature. That's always been like one of my favorite subjects is to just capture what's my surroundings are and capture it from my perspective and just be curious, just try something different, try different angles. I actually, in the past couple of years, I would say, more often than not, I like to shoot in black and white,
Mm-hmm.
just to really see the depth of the the highlights to shadows, and just really seeing the contrast, and really trying to create something like obscure sometimes, something more abstract that is in nature, or just capturing symmetry, for example, with like, and it doesn't just have to be nature, like buildings too. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I walk around downtown,
Yeah, and you're in a great neighborhood.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Oh yeah, the pathways are my favorite. I think any pathway, any hiking trail, has been my favorite ever since I picked up my camera, because to me it again, it's synonymous to life. It's like you're literally and figuratively walking on this trail, and you can take the wrong turn and go into like this path, that's a little scary. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I say wrong turn, but maybe it's the turn that you're meant to go down,
Right.
and it's less traveled, type of path. And there's some scary shit down there, but you come out with ultimately a greater experience than you would have on this path that everybody else walks, and the scenery is all the same, and it's not as exciting, but it's safe, and it's a straight path type of
Right.
thing.
Right.
That's just how I like to picture it. That's how I've always like looked at it since I picked up my camera. And I have so many pictures of my parents on our hikes, of my dog, of everybody else that I've gone on hikes with, friends, and very few of myself. Whatever. I think that's every photographer, right?
Yeah.
We like to capture everything else. We forget like sometimes to just turn the camera around and capture, like
Mhm.
document where we are in that moment in life. I try to remember, because I do want to look back at these photos or share them with, hopefully someday I have kids, and share it with them, and share it with all my other family members, and maybe grandkids someday, who knows. But just to show them like, hey, this was your dad, many years ago, and this is what I looked like. And there's like endless amounts of photos of everybody else and other things and other places and experiences. But yeah, actually, I really do enjoy taking self-portraits.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I'd like to do more regularly. But yeah, even just looking at my self-portraits over the years, from like the first time I started learning studio lighting was literally in my parents' garage back in Tucson. And I had like one light on me, and I had a big old beard, and I looked like a different person, because I was still like pretty overweight at that time. And just to see my transformation throughout the years, and the quality of the work, the quality of the light, the quality of my expression, like my posing. I've learned all of that stuff. People get kind of surprised when they see me step in front of the camera, and I do it confidently now because of all of that, those experiences. I think every photographer should be get to a point where they're confident in front of the camera, not just behind it, because a lot of them, like you said, are introverts, are like, no, my place is behind the camera. I want to capture you. But to really fully understand the experience of your client and what they're going through, or anybody who steps in front of the camera, again, going back to that nervous feeling, that anxiousness, and they're all dealing with that too. And for you to fully understand that, like, get on the other side of another photographer's camera, or on the other side of your own, and feel that awkwardness. Be like, what the hell am I doing? What's going on? Right. The more you do it, and go through those emotions and feelings, the more confident you'll be able to show up, and the more confident and full you'll be able to show up for your clients, because you recognize those feelings from going through it yourself.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, I love that response. And and I think that for me personally, maybe it's just by doing goofy photos with some of my best friends, but like to do those self-portraits seriously is a good challenge, because like I tend to just kind of get into relatively like goofy mode when I'm on the other side of the camera, just like having fun, but to challenge myself to do it seriously, and maybe metaphorically, it's like a way to take myself seriously.
Yeah. And again, it can be taking self-portraits if like you just have free time, or you could get together with another photographer and just get in front of their camera. I mean, like the first time I came to this studio that we share, I asked you like, hey, can I snap some pictures of you? It wasn't like a full-on photo shoot, but it was like, yeah, just get in front of the camera and see what happens,
Yeah.
And a little bit of direction, a little bit of like nice lighting, you get some cool pictures out of it.
Absolutely. And I really, going back to your story about taking a path, an unexpected path that is actually the right path, or not the wrong path, but I mean, I think that really painted and illuminated a wonderful picture for the listeners. Just like, I just imagine myself on a trail, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I see like a bird flying down this path. Like, let me follow this path, and it leads to this like magical other path or island or something. And it kind of brings me back to, without being too cheesy, but how I was like, how I met Jose was at a fashion show for charity. And I had got this random Instagram message, and I thought it was like spam or something. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
You get so many of those, right?
Yeah. So like it was this message saying like, hey, do you want to photograph this fashion show? And then I was like, okay, what's your budget? And they're like, well, you're volunteering. And then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. And then I found out there was like 5 or 6 other photographers there.
Yeah.
And so I was borderline like not going to do it. And, I think I had a busy schedule. So I was like, I don't know if I have time for this or energy for this.
Right.
But fortunately, through that experience, it was great to see other photographers and see the whole process of that amazing fashion show for charity, and lots of high energy, and it was just a blast.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. And I'm so glad I did that, and I met Jose through that experience. And then a few months down the road after that, I was looking for another studio mate at my photo studio, and I reached out to Jose because I think I really appreciated not just his photography skills, but I think your calm demeanor, your personality, and those things I thought would be a great fit. So, yeah.
I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
It's true. Like going back to that, going back to how I've grown through my photography, those those abilities to be able to communicate and show off my personality and just feel like warm and welcoming to anybody I talk to.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Those in itself, like that communication in itself is a gateway to more opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
because people are naturally drawn to that. People
Mm-hmm.
naturally feel safe and around somebody like that and want to like get to know this person. So I don't just recognize that in myself, and I appreciate when it is brought up, and it's reflected back onto me. I do appreciate that, but I see that in other people. I saw that in you, so I didn't even like second guess when you reached out about the studio space, because I've been a part of many studios over the years, and it's been like an up and down thing. Sometimes your studio mates aren't like the coolest, or they're weird, or or they steal your shit, whatever. but like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I remember, like, I remembered you in the back of my head, like, yeah, he was a cool person. Like, we had a really cool connection. We talked and we like joked around as we were going through the event and all that. So
Yeah,
it's
thank
a
you.
huge thing. Yeah, it's a huge thing to be able to show up in those ways. And you can't do that when you're just like stuck in your nervous anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
socially awkward. And I know it's a process. It's like something you have to work through. But if you just show up as yourself and
Mm-hmm.
have fun and create, then like the possibilities are endless at that point.
Absolutely. And this is another topic I'd love to talk about, is the personality of a photographer, um, versus like the images and results, because I think that people will remember the experience that you're having. And so for example, like if you have a photo shoot and the images turn out amazing with some random photographer, but maybe you don't feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
during the whole shoot, or you
Yeah.
just, they barely say anything, or etc. And so when that person receives their photos back, maybe they just remember the experience of like, oh, I was like, I just felt uncomfortable the whole time. So they maybe won't cherish the images. But if you, on the contrary, if you have a wonderful experience with a photographer and it was like so much fun and a blast, and then I think that is such more of a valuable experience.
It is. And I'm going to joke here and say the photos can even be mediocre. If the experience was amazing, that's what they care about more than anything. But I feel like I do my best to give them the full experience,
Mm-hmm.
I going back to that, like I know I can recognize when somebody comes in and they're like feeling a little nervous, and that, like, just to add context to that, like we actually have a planning session before we even get to the shoot. So we've introduced to one another, we've talked, we've gotten to know each other, so it lessens that feeling, but it still comes up day of, like for anybody like who's human. But it's all part of that experience. And if, like you're saying, like you hit the nail on the head, if they don't like enjoy that experience, or there's something that was off about the day and you didn't do your best to make it right, because it still happens. Like it could happen at any moment where something goes wrong, or you screw something up with whatever plans that you guys had. You can still like be accountable and do your best to make it right, but they'll remember that experience as soon as they look at their photos, because it's all connected,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you show up and you give it your best, then like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a good experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, so yeah, that's what I got for that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, I did this shoot the other day with this couple and trying to recreate this Bruce Springsteen album cover.
Nice.
and and I mean the whole time I just wanted to make it a really fun experience because like I think the idea was fun and we didn't have to take anything too seriously because it was just a fun time. So I was playing Bruce Springsteen the whole time and just trying to let them embrace their inner Springsteen. And
Nice.
yeah, and I think it was just really fun for everyone involved. And I try to find details or inside jokes about each person I'm photographing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just my comedic tendencies to maybe just take the edge off for myself and the people around me, just to like, we don't have to be so serious. We're here just, you know, we're just
Yeah.
taking photos. And so, yeah, so then I'd like to balance that with also being able to take dramatic photos, but laughing in between. So because I don't want that remnants of too much smiling and dramatic photos. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, do you have an experience with that?
Yeah, I'd love to speak on that because I think humor is a big, like we were talking about this earlier, humor is a big like diffuser from those like weird anxious feelings. And I love to use humor throughout my sessions. It's just part of my personality, you know? If I find an opportunity to crack a joke or just be silly, like it's gonna happen because I know it's gonna be appreciated, and I know sometimes even when we're shooting, like I do my best to communicate throughout the shoot, throughout the session, give direction and all that, because then people might be like, "What do I do with my hands?" This is
Right.
I don't want them to get like too awkward or whatever, or like be smiling too much because that tends to hurt your face after a while. So like, yeah, just changing up the energy is a really cool thing to do, and just laughter does that. Um, so yeah, that's important, I think.
Yeah,
I think it is.
absolutely. Coming back to the human experience, like we're humans. We can't just be robotic and just hold one emotion
Right,
during a whole photo session.
right, and that just adds to that experience. It really makes it whole, I think.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Do you have any dream or fantasy kind of shoot? Any like, and like just imagine like you have like an unlimited budget or just like unlimited resources to create like
oh man.
a wild scene or something for a photo shoot.
Well, just to speak on the laughter really briefly, something that I would like to do someday, because I keep shooting through the laughter because those are some of my
Yes.
favorite moments, and I love to
Yes.
share those with my clients.
And they love it too.
Yeah, even if those aren't the pictures they like end up selecting, and I still like to show that because it's storytelling. You're looking through those pictures, and oh, I remember that laughter. Like it literally
Yeah.
takes them back to that moment,
It's true.
what the joke was, and
It's truly them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are the favorites, and sometimes they select them. But I'd love to publish a book, like an art, like a photography book, where I just like go back through my whole catalog, my whole backlog of photos over the years, and just select some of my favorite moments that I caught somebody laughing. Even like the ridiculous ones, the big laughs and all that. Those are like my favorites. So yeah, that
Absolutely.
might come out someday. We'll see.
Yes, I would definitely get that book.
But as far as having an unlimited budget and what dream shoot I have, I don't know if I've ever sat and thought about that, to be honest. I mean, I would say doing something in like an exotic location type of shoot, like flying to Oh man.
It's fun to dream. It's fun to
Yeah.
imagine.
I don't know if it'd be like a one shoot. I think I would just like want to travel. Just now that
Hmm.
I'm processing it and thinking about it, because I'm sure like my first reaction would have been like working with a celebrity and like
Hmm.
doing the biggest thing like in Paris type of on the Eiffel Tower or something. But honestly, like just having a budget to be able to travel and like tell the story of people like an indigenous culture somewhere
Hmm.
and just being able to capture them in their you know native country in their daily lives, um, and yeah man, like that would be amazing. I'm just thinking of what I could do with that type of like dream job dream gig, um, that would like highlight these people and that would give me experiences that I wouldn't have otherwise had. Um, I mean, that's what I would
Yeah.
want to do. I can't think of anywhere specific, but like maybe somewhere in Africa or somewhere in like the deep jungles of Mexico. I mean, that's my background, so I would love to do something like that. Um,
Yes.
just I don't know, maybe just multiple sessions throughout the world of all the indigenous cultures. That would be amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
that's a
beat.
cool question. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even like really fully ever think about something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like asking those questions because I think unless prompted, it doesn't always come natural for me to think of these ideas or concepts. Like, but what if the impossible was possible? Like, what if
Hmm.
I could literally do anything?
And that's man, that goes back to the psychological thing because why can't I do that? You
Mm.
know, it's all in
Mm-hmm.
my head of like I can never do that type of thing, and I would never be able to find a budget for something like that to be able to travel to all these places and
Mm-hmm.
photograph these people. But like I'm stopping myself mentally before I even like can take action on it or actually devise a plan to be able to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think of it too. Like, I would definitely also like want to travel the world and like
Hmm.
document things. Like, yeah, I'm jealous of this. Like, there's some Major League Baseball players who Jose knows I'm a baseball nerd. Um, but Ken Griffey Jr. and Randy Johnson, they're both retired
Yeah.
baseball players, which you probably
Oh
know
yeah.
of Randy Johnson.
Yeah, I know both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both photographers
Really?
now. Yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I like just imagine like how sweet would it be? Like they probably, they basically have unlimited budget for all their camera gear and they can travel the world,
Hmm.
take
Wow.
photos. I know Randy Johnson did an exhibit of Africa as well. Like he's taken photos
Wow.
in Africa and
Wow.
so yeah, and one specific thing I've always wanted to do a shoot where like people are standing on one of those like glass things and
Oh,
you're like
okay.
shooting through like
Yeah.
the glass. I would love to do a shoot like that one day.
Hmm.
Like it's prevalent in like music videos and stuff or like
Right.
you're like dancing above that type of like clear
Yeah,
thing.
I can definitely picture that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd go around the world and get pictures of people like
Hmm. That's cool. Yeah, to make a project out of it and get
yeah.
like multiple people in different places and
Yeah.
different cultures and that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
You could probably I feel like I've seen somebody make one of those. Like I don't know if it's like
Ooh.
a plastic, clear type of thing where you just do that and then make like a stand for it, some
Mm.
type of thing.
Could be yeah, maybe it's not as complex as I think it is.
Right, yeah. I mean, all it takes is looking into it and making it happen. But yeah, there's got to be a budget for it. Obviously, there's supplies that you'd have to get and tools if you don't have them to be able to put that together. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So like
Yes.
just trying it, seeing what happens. If you fail, if you can't figure it out, then at least you tried it, and that could propel you into finding another way about it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And another quote too of like, shoot for the stars, but even if you miss, you're still amongst the stars.
Yeah, yeah. What is it?
Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the sky, but even if you miss, you land on the. We both fucked it up. You land amongst the stars. Yeah.
Right, right.
You can cut that part out.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's really fun to dream and just think of those things. We're gonna wrap up this conversation, but thank you so much, Jose. Yeah, I don't know if you want to mention your project that you're working on right now.
So I have my lighting workshops that I started doing in January. I just did my February one last week. It was a success, and I plan to do something to that degree every month, just as a personal challenge to continuously grow. I'm not sure if March I'll be doing a lighting workshop or just doing a photo walk for everybody to join, like free of charge, no charge, just people to show up. Because I know some people are like looking at the cost of it, and maybe they're like, that's not for me right now. I know everybody's on a different level, and I've been there, plenty of times. So for just people to gather, for people to meet me if they haven't met me already, for people to meet other people and just network, just potentially like branch off and do their own thing, collaborate on something else. That's the beauty of it. And just to create, again, like creation, especially with all like the turmoil that goes on, present day. Just so many things going on, and creativity is an amazing outlet to relieve, all the stress and things going on, and just to create something new, something beautiful. So I'll probably be doing that now that the weather's getting much nicer finally, just to be able to walk around, have some fun, maybe like end up at, like, we can all meet up for pizza or something at a restaurant, or still figuring that plan out for this month, but I definitely want to do something and continue to do it every month. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for creating that and making your vision a reality and actually doing the thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah, man, it took me a long time to get to a point where I felt like I'm ready to do this and give back through photography, because photography has given me so much in my life, and I want to be able to share that with others. So it's really important to me to give back in that form, by teaching photography, and also by doing events like the one we met at, where I'm more than happy to volunteer my time for certain things, for things that I believe in, and because you never know who you're gonna meet, you never know like what's gonna come of it. So yeah, I want to keep doing this and creating this thing, still being a creative, but in a different form, So
Right.
I think it's amazing how powerful it is to create. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Creation. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jose. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Can I share my social medias?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm mainly on Instagram. It is Jose C_photography. You can follow me on Instagram, which I'm mainly on. Facebook, I'm not on too often, and I don't do TikTok. I know You can that ages me. I don't know. Some people my age are heavy on TikTok, but I'm just like I can't give like my whole life to social media. I need some type of
Right.
time away from my phone, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's my handle. And if you have any questions about the workshop or just photography related or just like want to connect, just reach out to me, DM me, and make it happen.
Absolutely. All right. And your official name is Jose C Photography, is that right?
Yeah, my company name, my LLC is Jose C Photography. C is just for Carlos, which is my last name, which is an unusual, rare last name, but that's me. That's what I got.
I like it.
And my website, I forgot to mention, is just josecphotography.com. So if you want to check out my portfolio, you know, my business branding, my blog that I just recently started, I sell my print work on there for my like landscape stuff. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think.
All right. Wonderful. I can't wait to check that out.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jose.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to Anticipate Creativity. Stay tuned for more interviews with more creatives.